What if I told you that FBI's most trusted detective was actually planning a perfect crime right under their noses? We all think we know who good guys and bad guys are, but what happens when that line between them disappears completely? This isn't just about corruption. This is about a man who turned entire justice system into his personal weapon. How do you steal $80 million from deadliest cartel in Mexico and make FBI thank you for it? February morning in 2021. Conference room filled with federal agents, maps covering every wall, red pins marking crime scenes across El Paso. At head of table, a detective with tired eyes studies evidence boards like chess pieces. Coffee grows cold while fingers trace connections between photos of cartel operatives, bank records, and surveillance footage. We're dealing with someone who knows our playbook better than we do, Detective Rico Vega tells assembled task force. Voice carries weight of 12 years on force, authority that commands attention. This wasn't random. Whoever did this understood our response protocols, our investigation methods, even our communication channels. Around table, federal agents nod grimly. Missing money has triggered something unprecedented. Cartel cells turning against each other, bodies appearing in desert, fear spreading through underworld networks. Streets whisper about revenge, about war coming to border towns. But nobody in that room realizes they're listening to architect of their confusion. $80 million vanished from most secure money laundering operation on continent. No witnesses. No footage. No trace. Art gallery downtown became crime scene overnight, leaving federal investigators with more questions than evidence. Cash that should have moved through cartel pipelines simply ceased to exist. Rico leans back in chair, watching colleagues struggle with impossible puzzle. Every theory proposed gets quietly redirected. Every lead suggested gets subtly undermined. Task force operates like machine with missing parts, spinning wheels without gaining traction. Sir, what about insider involvement? Younger agent asks. Fresh from Quantico, still believes rules matter more than results. Unlikely, Rico responds immediately. Access was limited. Background checks were thorough. Besides, anyone with sufficient clearance would know this kind of theft means death sentence from cartel. Murmurs of agreement around room. Logic seems sound. Who would be foolish enough to steal from killers who view betrayal as personal insult? Rico's phone buzzes. Text message from unknown number. They suspect nothing. Delete. Another buzz. Wire transfer confirmed. Delete again. We need to consider all possibilities, Rico continues, standing to adjust map on wall. This operation required months of planning, intimate knowledge of cartel procedures, and understanding of federal investigation tactics. What colleagues don't know, man they trust most has been planning this moment for 2 years. Every case briefing, every shared intelligence report, every strategy session has been preparation for this deception. Federal resources pour into investigation like water into desert sand. Surveillance teams deployed. Informants activated. International agencies contacted. Meanwhile, stolen millions flow through cryptocurrency exchanges and offshore accounts, following pathways established long before first dollar disappeared. Rico checks watch. Meeting approaching 3 hours. Attention spans wearing thin. Perfect time for crucial misdirection. Based on evidence patterns, I believe we're looking at Juarez cartel involvement, Rico announces. Methodology matches their previous operations in Tijuana. Heads turn. Pens start moving across notepads. Fresh theory breathes life into stalled investigation. But Juarez cartel connection exists only in carefully planted evidence. Real perpetrator sits at head of table, guiding federal response away from truth with surgical precision. Hit that like button if you're ready to explore most audacious heist in criminal history. This story will challenge everything you believe about trust, justice, and power of insider knowledge. Because sometimes greatest threats come from those we never suspect, those wearing badges we're taught to respect. 15 years earlier. 8-year-old boy watches through chain-link fence as black Escalade pulls up to corner house. Men in expensive suits step out, gold chains catching desert sunlight. Neighbor kids point and whisper about new PlayStation and designer shoes appearing overnight in houses where fathers work for these visitors. Rico's father comes home covered in grease, Truck mechanic's uniform stained with honest sweat. Third job of day, cleaning office buildings until midnight, sleeping 4 hours, then loading freight at dawn. Paycheck barely covers rent on 2-bedroom apartment where 3 generations share space. Mijo, education is your way out, father says every night, helping with homework at kitchen table. Police academy, maybe FBI. Make something better. Streets tell different story. Drug money flows like river through East El Paso neighborhoods, creating islands of prosperity among desert of struggle. Children who should be playing with toys instead learn to recognize license plates, spot surveillance, understand which corners belong to which crews. Rico watches. Rico learns. Rico questions why working hard means staying poor while breaking laws means wealth. Police academy years later. Graduation ceremony filled with families proud of sons and daughters choosing service over shortcuts. Rico raises right hand, swears oath to protect and serve, believes every word. Badge feels heavy with purpose. Weapon carries weight of responsibility. You'll make difference out there, instructor says, shaking hands with top graduate. This city needs officers like you. First patrol assignment. Same neighborhoods where childhood unfolded. Same corner houses, same black vehicles, same men in expensive suits. Only now Rico carries authority to challenge them. Reality hits hard. Arrests made during day become releases at night. Evidence disappears. Witnesses forget. Lawyers appear with briefcases full of technicalities. Cartel operations continue while paperwork piles up. Meanwhile, honest families still struggle. Rico's father still works 3 jobs, still comes home exhausted, still believes system works for those who follow rules. 2 years into career, Rico makes largest drug bust of his life. 50 kilograms of pure cocaine, street value exceeding $2 million. News cameras record arrest, commissioner gives commendation, community celebrates victory. 6 months later, same dealer drives newer car through same neighborhood. Charges dropped on procedural error. Evidence ruled inadmissible. Case closed without conviction. Rico begins noticing patterns others miss or choose to ignore. How certain investigations lose funding. How key witnesses relocate suddenly. How paperwork gets filed incorrectly just often enough to matter. System designed to catch criminals becomes revolving door. Justice becomes performance theater. Badges become props in elaborate show where everyone knows their role except those who believe in mission. Assignment to DEA Joint Task Force in 2019 changes everything. Access to federal databases reveals true scope of cartel operations. Money laundering networks spanning continents. Offshore accounts holding billions. Political connections reaching highest levels of government. Rico stares at a computer screen showing financial flows that dwarf his father's lifetime earnings. Single transaction equals century of honest wages. One confiscated account could fund entire police department for decade. This is intelligence only handful of people see, supervisor explains during security briefing. Access comes with responsibility. Information stays within task force. But responsibility cuts both ways. Knowledge becomes burden when combined with years of watching system fail those it claims to protect. Power becomes temptation when wielded by someone who understands how easily rules bend. Late nights studying cartel financial structures. Learning cryptocurrency pathways. Understanding how money moves invisibly across borders. Officially, research serves investigation purposes. Privately, different plans take shape. Sometimes system we trust to protect us becomes very thing that corrupts us. Power without accountability creates opportunities for those positioned to exploit weaknesses. Rico had spent career fighting criminals from outside system. Now, surrounded by tools to become one from within. Question haunts quiet moments. If honest work keeps families poor while crime makes millionaires, what defines right and wrong? If justice exists only for those who can afford it, why not take what system refuses to provide? Access breeds ambition. Knowledge creates possibility. Disillusionment provides justification. All that remains is opportunity. March 2020. Surveillance van parked across from downtown art gallery. windows tinted dark enough to hide federal equipment inside. Rico adjusts headphones, monitoring radio chatter while studying building through high-powered scope. Target appears ordinary, white walls, modern sculptures, well-dressed patrons examining paintings. Intelligence suggests otherwise. Gallery owner operates under name El Arquitecto. Identity remains ghost in federal databases. No photographs. No fingerprints. No reliable witnesses. Criminal network spans 3 countries, moves estimated $2 billion annually, yet mastermind stays invisible. Corporate structure, Rico mutters, reviewing files. This isn't street-level dealing. Unlike flashy narcos who crave attention, El Arquitecto runs operation like Fortune 500 company. Legitimate businesses provide cover. Art galleries, import companies, tech startups, all generating paperwork trails that satisfy banking regulations while concealing true purpose. Rico watches delivery truck arrive at gallery loading dock. Workers unload shipping container marked Contemporary Installation, handle with care. Routine transaction, happens twice monthly, always follows same pattern. Something feels wrong about container dimensions. Gallery specializes in large-scale modern art, but shipped pieces seem smaller than advertised space. Weight distribution appears inconsistent with sculptural materials. Loading crew handles containers with unusual care, as if contents might shift or break. Rico adjusts surveillance equipment, zooming in on shipping labels. Return addresses traced to companies registered in states with relaxed corporate filing requirements. Shell corporations within shell corporations, ownership buried beneath layers of legal complexity. Following week brings breakthrough. Thermal imaging reveals basement activity during supposed closed hours. Heat signatures suggest multiple people moving heavy objects through underground space. Gallery upstairs remains dark while basement glows with warmth of active operation. Rico requests building blueprints from City Planning Office. Official records show standard basement storage. Reality tells different story. Thermal patterns indicate much larger underground area, possibly extending beneath neighboring buildings. Climate-controlled environment maintains consistent temperature regardless of desert heat above. 3 weeks of surveillance reveals pattern. Delivery arrives Tuesday evening. Gallery closes early Wednesday. No visitors admitted. Thursday morning, armored cars appear at loading dock. Money transport vehicles leave with sealed containers. Destination unknown. Rico realizes what others missed. Gallery isn't just laundering money. It's storing cash during vulnerable transition phase. Cartel cells generate enormous amounts of physical currency. Drug sales happen in cash, but banks require documentation for large deposits. Money needs temporary holding location while paperwork gets prepared, accounts get arranged, transfers get authorized. During this window, roughly 72 hours, cash exists in limbo. Not yet reported to cartel financial controllers in Mexico. Not yet deposited into laundering pipeline. Essentially invisible to both criminal and law enforcement tracking systems. Rico studies delivery schedules, cross-references with federal surveillance reports, calculates estimated values. Conservative estimate, $20 to $40 million per cycle. Money just sits there, waiting for processing. Perfect crime requires perfect target. Target must be valuable enough to justify risk, vulnerable enough to penetrate, isolated enough to avoid immediate detection. Gallery basement checks every requirement. But sophistication of operation demands respect. Security systems probably exceed bank-level protection. Personnel likely carry weapons, training, authorization to kill intruders. El Arquitecto didn't build billion-dollar network by accepting careless mistakes. Rico begins researching gallery employees, studying schedules, identifying potential weaknesses. Night security guard with gambling debts. Manager with marital problems requiring discretionary income. Cleaning crew from temp agency with minimal background checks. System has vulnerabilities. Every system does. Question becomes finding right pressure points, applying correct leverage, timing moves perfectly. Comment below. Would you have been tempted in Rico's position? Opportunity crystallizes during late March surveillance. Shipping manifest accidentally left visible during container transfer reveals contents description. Emergency reserves, $80 million US. Largest single payload Rico has observed. Invisible money. Temporary vulnerability. Unprecedented opportunity. All pieces align for impossible decision. April 2020. Two lives begin running parallel tracks. Morning Rico attends task force briefings, reviews surveillance reports, coordinates with federal agencies. Professional demeanor masks growing obsession with gallery operation. Colleagues see dedicated detective pursuing cartel investigation. Reality involves studying target for personal gain. Evening Rico sits in apartment, laptop screen glowing while identity theft software downloads. Law enforcement databases provide tools meant for tracking criminals. Now those same tools serve opposite purpose, creating one. Michael Torres begins existing on paper before becoming flesh. Birth certificate filed in understaffed county office. Social security number generated through bureaucratic loophole. Childhood medical records planted in hospital systems prone to clerical errors. Rico knows which agencies cross-reference information, which databases rarely communicate, which government departments operate independently. Knowledge becomes weapon against system itself. Military service record requires careful construction. Personnel files from disbanded units offer opportunities for insertion. Michael Torres serves honorably in Afghanistan, receives commendations, earns veteran status. Documentation survives scrutiny because Rico understands how verification processes work. Financial history builds slowly. Bank accounts opened with small deposits. Credit cards obtained, used minimally, paid promptly. Employment records created at companies experiencing high turnover. Each piece adds legitimacy to growing facade. Meanwhile, gallery surveillance intensifies. Rico maps security camera blind spots, times guard rotations, identifies entry points. Official investigation provides perfect cover for reconnaissance activities. Lorenzo Delgado becomes person of interest during background checks. Night security guard, age 34, divorced, lives alone in studio apartment. Credit reports reveal gambling debts exceeding annual salary. Phone records show frequent calls to sports betting services. Rico follows Lorenzo after shifts, documents routine. Poker games twice weekly at underground club. Horse racing at track every weekend. Online betting history accessible through law enforcement monitoring tools. Weakness identified. Pressure point located. Patricia Reyes presents different challenge. Gallery manager, age 28, married to successful contractor, no children. Surface appearance suggests stability, but deeper investigation reveals cracks. Rico accesses personal financial records through federal database. Separate bank account unknown to husband. Hotel charges during supposed work trips. Credit card purchases at lingerie boutiques and expensive restaurants. Phone surveillance reveals affair with art dealer from Phoenix. Emotional relationship lasting 8 months. Meetings arranged during business travel. Patricia spends money she doesn't have maintaining double life. Another weakness. Another pressure point. Rico begins psychological profiling based on behavioral observation. Lorenzo responds to authority figures, respects law enforcement, seeks approval from people in power. Gambling addiction creates desperation but hasn't eliminated conscience. Approach requires appeal to patriotic duty combined with financial incentive. Patricia shows different psychological pattern. Intelligent, ambitious, frustrated by limitations of current life. Affair indicates willingness to take risks for personal satisfaction. Approach requires emotional manipulation, playing on desires for freedom and independence. Trust becomes ultimate currency, and Rico prepares to cash it all in. Parallel life continues through summer months. Rico feeds FBI investigation carefully crafted misdirection. Reports emphasize Juarez cartel connections while minimizing Sinaloa involvement. Surveillance requests redirect federal resources toward empty warehouses and abandoned buildings. Intelligence suggests money laundering operation has moved north, Rico tells task force during August briefing. Phoenix area shows increased cartel activity. Federal agents believe trusted source. Investigation shifts focus away from El Paso. Gallery operation continues unmonitored while law enforcement chases ghosts in desert. Rico's credibility grows with each successful misdirection. Supervisors praise insightful analysis. Colleagues seek advice on complex cases. Professional reputation provides cover for criminal planning. September brings final preparation phase. Michael Torres receives apartment lease in non-extradition country. Bank accounts established in nations with strict privacy laws. Cryptocurrency wallets created using advanced encryption. Escape route mapped through connections developed during international law enforcement cooperation. Rico studies witness protection protocols, understanding system from inside. Federal marshals relocate high-value informants using specific procedures. Process requires authorization from multiple agencies, background verification, psychological evaluation. Knowledge of system provides opportunity to exploit system. October surveillance reveals gallery's most vulnerable moment. Monthly lunar cycle affects El Arquitecto's superstitious scheduling. New moon brings largest cash transfers. Full moon triggers enhanced security. Pattern creates predictable window of opportunity. Rico maps timing down to precise hours. Lorenzo works alone during midnight shift every second Tuesday. Patricia maintains late inventory schedule when large shipments arrive. Security cameras reset automatically during system updates. Everything aligns. Months of preparation converge on single moment requiring perfect execution. Trust, knowledge, access. Three elements combine into weapon capable of destroying those who granted them. Rico had learned importance of knowing who has access to what information. Now that lesson gets turned against teachers. February 15, 2021. New moon rises over El Paso, casting downtown streets in shadow. Rico checks phone. Text confirms largest shipment in gallery history arrives tonight. Emergency reserves totaling $80 million. Money destined for cartel cells across Southwest, vulnerable for exactly 72 hours. Final pieces fall into place. 11:47 p.m. Rico dials Lorenzo's number from burner phone. Voice changes slightly, adopting official tone perfected through years of federal operations. This is Agent Martinez, DEA Joint Task Force. We have credible intelligence about security breach at your location tonight. Lorenzo recognizes authority immediately. Sir, I haven't seen anything unusual. That's expected. Operation involves federal sting targeting cartel money laundering. Your cooperation is essential for national security. Pause. Sound of thinking, weighing options. What do you need from me? Rico smiles in darkness. Psychology works perfectly. Disable alarm system for exactly 90 minutes starting at 12:15 a.m. Federal agents will conduct covert sweep of basement area. Your compliance helps capture major cartel figures. Sir, disabling alarms violates company policy. Mr. Delgado, your gambling debts with Cesar Moreno total $47,000. Cooperation tonight erases that debt completely. Silence stretches between them. How do you know about? Federal government knows everything relevant to national security. Question becomes whether you help us or we let Moreno know about your location. Lorenzo agrees within seconds. Meanwhile, anonymous email reaches Patricia's personal account. Photos attached show her husband entering hotel with young woman. Timestamps prove multiple meetings during Patricia's Phoenix trips. Evidence appears overwhelming. Patricia reads message twice. Checks photos for manipulation signs. Finds none. Second email arrives minutes later. More evidence available. Meet tonight if you want proof of his betrayal. Patricia leaves house at 11:55 p.m., driving toward fabricated meeting location across town. Journey takes 45 minutes each direction. Timing calculated perfectly. 12:15 a.m. Gallery alarm system goes silent. Rico approaches through basement entrance, using master keys obtained during routine police inspection 6 months earlier. Knowledge of building layout guides movement through darkness. Thermal imaging shows no human heat signatures except Lorenzo on upper floors. Basement door opens soundlessly. Climate-controlled air hits face like Arctic breath. Underground space extends far beyond official blueprints, housing sophisticated money-counting operation. Industrial-grade scales, currency bundling machines, computer terminals tracking financial flows. Cash stacks occupy center area like monument to criminal enterprise. Bills bound in plastic, labeled with numerical codes, organized by denomination and destination. $80 million arranged with corporate precision. Rico studies layout quickly. Security cameras point toward entrance, not center storage area. Pressure plates detect foot traffic at doorways, not movement within space. Motion sensors monitor perimeter, not interior activity. System designed to prevent entry, not theft from inside. Rico begins loading cash into military surplus duffel bags. 20-pound bundles disappear efficiently. Movement stays calculated, avoiding detection zones mapped during surveillance. Critical decision arrives: take everything or maintain deception. Genius lies in restraint. Rico removes exactly $80 million, amount matching Lorenzo's debt and Patricia's emotional vulnerability. Remaining cash stays untouched, creating confusion about theft motive. Evidence planting begins. Rico places Juarez cartel calling card near empty space where money disappeared. Drops cigarette but with DNA sample purchased from black market contact. Leaves footprint from boot sole modified to match different size. Physical evidence points toward rival cartel operation. Methodology suggests internal dispute rather than external theft. Investigation will focus on Mexican criminal networks, not American law enforcement. 12:52 a.m. Rico exits through same entrance. Lorenzo receives final call. Operation complete. Maintain normal routine. Any deviation compromises national security. Patricia returns home at 1:35 a.m., finding husband asleep, unaware of evening's activities. Anonymous tipster never appears at meeting location. Phone number belongs to disconnected service. By dawn, $80 million flows through cryptocurrency exchanges toward offshore accounts established months earlier. Digital transfers complete before gallery opens for business. Discovery happens during routine inventory Tuesday morning. Gallery manager finds basement storage disrupted, cash reserves missing, evidence suggesting cartel involvement. Phone calls race between El Paso and Mexico. Cartel leadership demands explanations. Gallery staff claims ignorance. Lorenzo reports quiet night, nothing unusual. Investigation begins within hours. Rico arrives at crime scene wearing federal badge, carrying clipboard, projecting professional concern. Colleagues greet trusted task force leader seeking to understand brazen theft. This requires cartel-level sophistication, Rico announces, studying planted evidence. Juarez cell sending message to Sinaloa operations. Federal agents accept analysis from expert source. Investigation launches toward wrong targets while real perpetrator guides their efforts. If this story is blowing your mind, smash that subscribe button. It gets even crazier. $80 million vanishes completely, leaving behind confused criminals, misdirected law enforcement, and one detective whose perfect crime has only just begun. 3 days after theft, Rico stands before wall-mounted evidence board, red marker connecting photos of suspected Juarez cartel operatives. Federal task force watches intently as lead investigator explains criminal methodology. Pattern matches previous operations in Tijuana, Rico declares, circling surveillance photos of men who have never visited El Paso. Same entry techniques, identical evidence signatures, comparable theft amounts. Lies flow effortlessly from mouth of man who spent months creating fictional narrative. Colleagues absorb information from trusted source, building investigation around manufactured foundation. Rico works 18-hour days, projecting dedication that earns respect throughout federal law enforcement. Supervisors praise tireless commitment to justice. Local media interviews rising star detective pursuing major cartel case. Meanwhile, stolen millions move through financial networks Rico constructed during preparation phase. Cryptocurrency exchanges convert cash into digital assets. Offshore banking systems transfer funds across international borders. Money flows like water through channels designed for invisibility. Each morning brings fresh briefings where Rico guides investigation away from truth. False witness statements get filed claiming Juarez cartel members spotted near gallery. Fabricated phone intercepts suggest Mexican criminal discussions about El Paso operations. Planted surveillance footage shows vehicles registered to shell companies connected to rival organizations. Intelligence indicates escalating conflict between cartel factions. Rico tells assembled federal agents. Theft represents territorial expansion into Sinaloa operations. Bureau resources deploy toward Mexican border, chasing ghosts while real perpetrator coordinates their misdirection. Rico volunteers for overtime assignments, positioning himself at center of investigation flow. Authority grants access to classified information about parallel investigations. Rico learns which agencies pursue which leads, when raids get scheduled, how evidence gets processed. Knowledge provides early warning system for any developments threatening exposure. Month 3 brings unexpected complication. DEA supervisor questions gaps in Juarez cartel intelligence. Background checks reveal inconsistencies in Rico's fabricated evidence. Scrutiny intensifies around source materials. Rico adapts quickly. Anonymous tip leads federal agents to warehouse containing additional planted evidence. Staged crime scene includes weapons, documents, cash bundles, all supporting Juarez cartel narrative. Discovery reinforces false investigation direction while eliminating questions about evidence authenticity. Commendation ceremony arrives in June. Rico receives Distinguished Service Award for exceptional dedication to cartel investigation. Local congressman presents medal while news cameras record achievement. Photo appears in federal law enforcement publication praising outstanding detective work. Irony tastes bitter and sweet simultaneously. Behind scenes, final escape preparations accelerate. Michael Torres' identity receives federal witness protection processing through channels Rico infiltrated months earlier. Fictional informant's cover story claims cartel discovered cooperation with law enforcement. Torres provided crucial intelligence about money laundering operations. Rico tells witness protection coordinator. Life threats require immediate relocation to non-extradition territory. Documentation supports urgent request. Torres' fabricated service record, combined with Rico's federal recommendations, expedites approval process. New identity gets authorized for international relocation. August night changes everything. Rico stages own kidnapping outside El Paso restaurant. Abandoned car found with signs of struggle. Blood evidence suggests violence. Ransom demand arrives claiming cartel revenge for investigation interference. Federal manhunt launches immediately. Rico's colleagues work desperately to locate respected detective taken by criminals. Search encompasses 3 states, involves multiple agencies, consumes enormous resources. Meanwhile, Rico travels toward Mexico using Michael Torres' documentation. Plastic surgery appointment waits in Tijuana clinic frequented by criminals seeking facial reconstruction. Surgeon specializes in complete identity transformation, asking no questions about patient backgrounds. Recovery takes 6 weeks in private facility. Mirror reflects unfamiliar face when bandages finally come off. Bone structure changed. Nose reshaped. Facial features altered beyond recognition. Voice coaching modifies speech patterns. Physical therapy adjusts posture and movement. Rico Vega ceases to exist. Michael Torres emerges from surgical cocoon, carrying federal witness protection credentials toward new life. FBI investigation concludes 3 months later. Official determination. Detective Rico Vega murdered by cartel operatives in retaliation for successful investigation. Body never recovered due to criminal disposal methods. Case closed with honor recommendations. Memorial service draws hundreds of federal agents mourning fallen colleague. Rico's father speaks about son's dedication to justice. Commissioner promises continued pursuit of responsible criminals. Michael Torres watches coverage from international location, face unrecognizable, identity untraceable. Federal witness protection provides perfect cover for vanished detective living freely in country without extradition treaties. Greatest deception involves making victims thank perpetrator for services rendered while mourning loss of person who never truly existed. 2 years later, FBI maintains active file on Detective Rico Vega murder case. Agents continue pursuing leads about cartel operatives responsible for killing federal officer. Investigation consumes resources while chasing phantoms who never existed. Official conclusion remains unchanged. Respected detective died fighting criminal organizations threatening American communities. Memorial plaque hangs in federal building lobby, honoring fallen hero who gave life for justice. Reality tells different story. El Arquitecto's money laundering network collapsed within months of gallery theft. Loss of $80 million triggered chain reaction throughout organization. Cartel leadership blamed operational security failures. Internal investigations led to executions. Trust between cells evaporated. Federal heat generated by Rico's misdirection campaign accelerated organizational destruction. Resources redirected toward Juarez cartel investigations exposed Sinaloa operations to unexpected scrutiny. Multiple arrests followed. Asset seizures increased. Financial pipelines shut down permanently. Ironically, Rico accomplished what years of legitimate law enforcement had failed to achieve. Corrupt detective achieved greater success against criminal enterprise than honest investigators working within system constraints. Michael Torres lives quietly in Coastal City where extradition treaties offer no protection for American fugitives. Investments generate steady income without requiring active management. Stolen fortune grows through legitimate business ventures, real estate acquisitions, technology startups. But money serves purposes beyond personal comfort. Anonymous donations fund drug rehabilitation programs throughout Mexico. Treatment facilities receive million-dollar contributions from untraceable sources. Community centers offering education alternatives to criminal recruitment get mysterious financial support. Cosmic justice operates through channels Rico never anticipated. Money stolen from cartel operations now fights effects of drug trafficking. Funds that once facilitated addiction now support recovery. Wealth generated by criminal enterprise transforms into weapon against crime itself. Greatest threats often come from those we trust most. Rico understood this principle intellectually before experiencing it personally. System designed to protect communities became vehicle for betraying them. Badge meant to represent justice became tool for subverting it. Sometimes very system designed to catch criminals becomes perfect cover for them. Law enforcement databases provided identity creation tools. Federal investigation protocols offered misdirection opportunities. Witness protection programs enabled escape routes. Knowledge meant for stopping crime facilitated committing it. Intelligence without integrity represents most dangerous weapon of all. Rico possessed exceptional analytical skills, deep understanding of criminal psychology, comprehensive knowledge of investigative procedures. Applied toward legitimate purposes, these abilities made him valuable federal asset. Redirected toward personal gain, same skills created unstoppable criminal force. Questions haunt case resolution. Did Rico ultimately serve justice by destroying cartel operation? Can good intentions justify terrible means? If system fails to protect innocent while enabling guilty, does breaking rules become moral obligation? Rico eliminated billion-dollar criminal network through methods no legitimate investigation could match. Cartel cells responsible for countless deaths, addiction epidemics, community destruction no longer operate because one corrupt detective decided personal gain aligned with public benefit. Yet achievement required betraying colleagues who trusted him, manipulating system designed for justice, stealing money regardless of ultimate destination. Success came through deception, manipulation, violation of every oath taken during police academy graduation. Federal agents still search for killer who murdered respected detective. They pursue justice for colleague who never truly existed while real perpetrator funds programs fighting very crimes they investigate. Case raises uncomfortable questions about effectiveness of legal constraints when confronting unlimited criminal resources. Rico proved that fighting monsters sometimes requires becoming one. Whether that transformation represents heroism or villainy depends on perspective. What do you think? Was Rico a criminal mastermind or a misguided vigilante? Let me know in comments. And don't forget to hit that notification bell for more incredible true crime stories.